So, today we're going to head over to Queens, New York. We're going to look at a company that is completely rethinking one of the biggest, but maybe most overlooked challenges in healthcare. How do you even get to your doctor's appointment?
All right, picture this. It's dawn in Queens. That early morning light is just starting to glint off the elevated train tracks, and you can feel that low rumble, the first train of the day starting its run.
And right there, outside a community center, a whole fleet of vehicles is waiting. We're talking sedans, wheelchair vans, they're all lined up, inspected, gassed up, and ready to roll. The drivers are there, grabbing their coffee, checking their routes for the day. Destinations like Jackson Heights, Flushing, and Astoria. Now, you might just look at this scene and think, okay, it's another car service getting ready for the morning rush. But that's not what this is. Not really. What's happening here is way more essential. It's something that's become a real part of the community fabric.
You see, for this company, and especially for the people they're picking up, this isn't just about logistics. It's a lifeline.
And who is this lifeline for? Well, it's for a grandmother in Jackson Heights who absolutely cannot miss her dialysis appointment. It's for a veteran in Astoria trying to get to the VA. Or a patient in Flushing who just can't get around easily. Queens is one of the most diverse places on the planet. We're talking over 160 languages spoken here. In a place like that, a reliable ride isn't a luxury. It's a critical link. It's the only thing connecting someone's home to the hospital. And that really gets us to the heart of the problem they're trying to solve. It's this huge unseen barrier. You can't always see it, but for millions of people, it might as well be a brick wall. I mean, think about how frustrating this must be. You're living in a massive city. There are hospitals and clinics everywhere. You might literally be able to look out your apartment window and see the exact building you need to get to. And still have absolutely no way to get there. It's just out of reach. If you use a walker, those subway stairs feel like climbing a mountain. The bus schedule, it never lines up with your appointment time. And good luck getting a standard rideshare that can handle a wheelchair. Suddenly, a few city blocks becomes this impossible journey. And this isn't just a feeling people have. The data is pretty shocking. A 2024 survey asked seniors what their single biggest barrier to healthcare was. You might think it's money or finding a good doctor. Nope. For a whopping 64% of them, the number one problem is just transportation. And the fallout from that? It's really serious. When getting there is just too hard, people are forced to make impossible choices. Get this. 1 in 4 seniors say they've just skipped medical care altogether because they couldn't get a ride, and 13% missed at least one appointment just last year. These aren't just numbers on a chart, right? This is someone's canceled treatment or a chronic condition that's not getting checked. So it's exactly this reality that gave rise to a company called Aki. Its founder looked at this whole mess and saw something different. This wasn't a logistics problem. It was a dignity problem. And this right here is the whole game changer. Akia's founder, Chanel Hernandez, she had this realization that the entire industry was basically looking at it backwards. The goal isn't just to move a body from point A to point B. It's about making sure the human being inside that vehicle feels seen, feels respected, and actually feels cared for. So she started with an idea that sounds so simple, but in this industry, it's actually pretty radical. She said, if you want to give patients better care, you have to start by treating the people doing the work, the drivers, better. And that single idea completely changes how they operate. It builds a whole different model, one where the driver isn't just a driver anymore. They become something much more. So let's break it down. On one hand, you've got the standard way of doing things. It's all about logistics, efficiency, moving bodies. It's kind of cold. But then you have the Aki way. That's all about community, about dignity. It's the belief that the ride itself can be a part of the care. So how do they actually pull this off? Well, it's a pretty straightforward process. Step 1, you invest in your drivers. You treat them well, you pay them fairly, you respect them. Step 2, you empower them. They're not just gig workers. They're seen as an extension of the actual care team. And when you do those two things, step 3 just happens. You build real, lasting trust in the community. So what does that look like day to day? It means an Aki driver isn't just a person staring at a GPS. They're the person who picks someone up and thinks, they seem a little weaker this week than they did last week. They're the one who remembers that Mrs. Chen likes the heat turned up a little higher. They get that helping with a tricky seatbelt clasp is part of the job. And most importantly, they understand that being 15 minutes late isn't just an inconvenience, it's a massive breach of trust. It really is neighbors serving neighbors. Okay, so this is a really powerful story happening in Queens, right? But it's also a perfect window into a much, much bigger conversation that's happening all across the country about how we get people to the care they need. And believe me, the need for this kind of service is absolutely massive. Just look at this number. The non-emergency medical transportation industry is projected to be worth nearly $32 billion by 2031. That's not just a big number, it's a signal of a huge and frankly growing need.
But what does a number that big even mean? It's really easy to just see it as a market size, a bunch of dollar signs. But that's not the real story, is it?
What it really represents are millions and millions of individual moments. It's the moment someone actually made it to their treatment. It's the moment a senior didn't have to call their son or daughter and ask them to take another day off work to drive them. It's millions of small victories of independence and dignity. And I think that's the real lesson here. We're so trained to think innovation is some slick new app or complex algorithm. But maybe, just maybe, the most powerful innovation isn't tech at all. Maybe it's the simple, almost revolutionary act of just treating people with respect. Because in the end, what a company like Aki shows us is that the distance between home and healthcare isn't really about miles on a map, it's about trust. It's about closing that gap by knowing deep down that someone's got your back and they're going to show up for you every single time.